You are with Talks on the Way of Wisdom, the forum that discusses star battles in human consciousness. In Dhammapada verses 21, 22, and 23, we explore the theme, How Mindfulness Leads to Nirvana, shedding light on Buddha's teachings that mindfulness is the path to immortality. But how does this mindful state bring us closer to nirvana? And why is it essential for breaking free from the cycle of suffering? Mindfulness, as Buddha describes, is more than awareness. It's a deep, purposeful presence that guides us towards spiritual freedom and joy. In this video, we will journey through these powerful verses to understand the path to true liberation. Join us. Watch the entire video. How mindfulness leads to nirvana. In the Buddhist tradition, the Dhammapada is a source of wisdom and guidance bequeathed by the Buddha himself. Verses 21, 22, and 23 reveal the essence of mindfulness as a fundamental path to spiritual awakening and liberation. In them, the Buddha states that mindfulness is the path to immortality, while carelessness is the path to death. But what does this mindfulness mean? And why is it the key to nirvana, the state of supreme peace and inner joy that is the goal for everyone walking the path of enlightenment? Mindfulness is not just a mental state, it is a way of life, a conscious presence that fills every action, thought, and perception. When the Buddha speaks of the mindful, he describes individuals who, through wisdom and clarity of mind, remain attentive to their thoughts and feelings, observing them without being possessed by them. This quality is a prerequisite for spiritual progress, because the mindful mind does not succumb to the usual impulses of anger, greed, and delusion, which are the sources of suffering. The verses also reveal the importance of a clear mind and deep contemplation as tools through which one can attain nirvana. According to the Buddha, those who are ever vigilant achieve not only knowledge but also spiritual joy, the joy that comes from realizing one's place in the world and freeing oneself from desires and passions. This joy is inextricably linked to the path of the great, the path of spiritual awakening. In the topic, How Mindfulness Leads to Nirvana, we will explore the teachings left by the Buddha. It will help us understand why conscious and careful presence of mindfulness in every moment is a path to liberation. The main questions we will discuss are, what does mindfulness represent according to the Buddha's teachings? How is the wisdom of a mindful person connected to the feeling of joy and spiritual progress? And how does it lead to spiritual immortality? Mindfulness, awakening as the path to immortality. Mindfulness is a foundational principle in Buddhist philosophy, which the Buddha elevates as a path to immortality, spiritual liberation, and complete awakening. Unlike physical immortality, which would mean eternal life in the sensory world, spiritual immortality symbolizes liberation from the cycle of rebirths and the attainment of a state of inner freedom. According to verse 21 of the Dhammapada, only the mindful who remain conscious and present in the moment can achieve this awakening, while the careless, bound by their illusions and desires, are already like the dead. Why is this so? Mindfulness is a constant awareness and attention to the present moment, a quality that allows a person to recognize and observe their own thoughts, feelings, and reactions without attachment to them. The Buddha shows that mindfulness is crucial because only through it can one overcome the attachments that bind them to suffering. When the mind is alert and awake, it avoids the unconscious impulses of anger, greed, and delusion, forces that are the source of all forms of suffering. Thus, mindfulness becomes a path to spiritual immortality because through it, the cycle of births and deaths, known in Buddhism as samsara, is interrupted. According to Buddhist teaching, the careless do not live fully because their consciousness is bound by the illusions of the external world. They are already dead because they are completely overtaken by the habits and reflexes of the mind, unaware of their own inner state. In contrast, the mindful person is conscious of the reality of every action they take, leading to an awareness of the impermanence of all experiences and objects. In this context, immortality is not physical, but is the eternal awakening of the spirit, aware of the transience of the world. Wisdom and purity of mind. Wisdom is inseparably connected with mindfulness and represents a central part of the spiritual path in Buddhism. In verse 22, the Buddha emphasizes that only those with a pure mind can see the truth that leads to spiritual peace. The purity of mind is not merely the absence of negative emotions. It includes the ability to make clear and unbiased judgments about reality, avoiding any influence from illusions and external stimuli. This purity is the fruit of wisdom, Developed through observation and understanding of the nature of thoughts and emotions, mindfulness teaches us to recognize the influence of anger, attachment, and fear, and to let them pass without overwhelming us. It is precisely wisdom that reveals to a person how mindfulness leads to inner balance and peace, as the mindful mind does not get entangled in the complex relationships of desires and unconscious attachments. A person with a pure mind can not only achieve inner joy and spiritual peace, but also enjoy the feeling of freedom that comes with conscious living. The purity of mind is at the core of the sense of joy from the path of the great, which the Buddha speaks of. When the mind is free from illusions, it experiences joy not from external stimuli, but from its very existence. Thus, the wisdom that accompanies mindfulness leads to an understanding of one's own nature and to a feeling of inner liberation. It is also a step toward nirvana, for the mind, freed from egocentric thoughts and desires, can rise to the higher state of spiritual peace. The path of contemplation to nirvana. Verse 23 reveals a stage of the spiritual journey, the path of contemplation leading to nirvana, the supreme peace and joy. In it, the Buddha describes a state of high concentration and deep contemplation, where a person manages to rid themselves of all illusions and reach the essence of existence. Contemplation, as a form of continuous mindfulness, is necessary for transcending the superficial layers of the mind and reaching the inner space of absolute peace and clarity. The path to nirvana requires not only mindfulness, but also full engagement with the state of conscious observation of everything that happens in the mind and body. Contemplation teaches us to observe thoughts and sensations as transient phenomena that are not part of our true essence. In the process of this observation, the mind is cleared of accumulated notions, emotions, and identifications. Thus, when we reach a state of non-attachment, in which there is nothing that pulls us toward the world of illusions, we attain nirvana. Nirvana is the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path, a state of complete freedom from all suffering and liberation from the wheel of samsara. In this state, one achieves absolute peace that does not depend on external circumstances. It is the very embodiment of the spiritual joy that arises from liberation from all worldly attachments. The path of contemplation is precisely the one that leads to nirvana, because only through full awareness and mindfulness can we overcome the illusions and limitations of the sensory world and immerse ourselves in the pure state of conscious existence. We have explored the key importance of mindfulness in Buddhist practice and its influence on achieving nirvana. Mindfulness is the key to spiritual awakening and transformation. It not only teaches us how to live in the present, but also leads us to a state of inner peace and resilience that the Buddha describes as immortality. We made a connection between mindfulness and the purity of mind, emphasizing how clarity of thought helps us recognize and control negative emotions, which is a prerequisite for spiritual progress and conscious existence. Mindfulness is a gateway to deep contemplation as a means of reaching nirvana. It examines how careful and conscious observation of our own thoughts and feelings allows us to achieve true inner joy and free ourselves from the material desires that hinder conscious understanding of our spirit. Mindfulness is a fundamental element in the pursuit of spiritual liberation and nirvana. By realizing the power of mindfulness, we can achieve wisdom, tranquility, and joy. The lessons we can draw remind us that active presence in life is crucial for our well-being. The practice of mindfulness, combined with wisdom and contemplation, provides a foundation for sustainable development, happiness, and success in our social endeavors. Let us seek moments of awareness every day to unleash the true potential of our spirit and draw closer to the supreme peace that nirvana offers. Therefore, let us often ask ourselves, how can I integrate mindfulness into my daily life? Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like our channel. We'd love to hear your opinion.